Hey guys, thank you for having me today. I'm going to apologize in advance if you hear this like shrill screech. It's one of my cats trying to get into the closet, which they are not allowed in. So that's if you hear a meowing sound, that's what that is. And to not spend too much time on the is a hot dog a sandwich conversation, it definitely is. And you are lucky that you don't have my business partner here today because I once watched him give a 30-minute presentation followed by a 20-minute Q&A debating what constitutes a sandwich. And at the end of it, he had a crowd of 50 people believing that Pop-Tart and a ravioli were sandwiches. It was incredible. So you were lucky that I am here today, not Sam. Otherwise, we would entirely be talking about sandwiches. So on that note, my name is Michael. I am the founder of Hippy Feet. We are a Minneapolis-based sock and apparel company. We started back in 2016 on a buy one, give one donation model. Today, we are a business that has a mission to employ homeless youth. So we provide jobs to young people experiencing homelessness ages 16 to 24. We give them jobs in packaging, screen printing, embroidery, product assembly. Basically, any job that we need completed, we will do so by providing this job opportunity to youth that are experiencing homelessness. So I will go ahead and kind of give you a backstory on how this company got started, and then talk about a little bit of things going on today, things that we hope to do in the future, and how COVID has impacted our company, our mission, and how we were able to kind of pivot in a time where a pivot was needed. So on that note, I will kind of start at the beginning here. So I started, actually I was a University of Mankato student. I graduated high school in 2011, went straight to Mankato post-graduation, and I was a traditional college student. Mankato's a fun town. I had a lot of fun in Mankato, a little too much fun. I dropped out after my second year of Mankato. I needed to take some time to kind of recoup and determine what it was that I wanted to do as a career. So I took some time off of school. I went and worked 3 jobs to start paying for college because that's an expensive endeavor there. After 6 months of just focusing on kind of working and stacking up some income, I transferred to River Falls. So went from a really fun party town to a really boring farm town. Decided that was where I was going to get my education. Decided that an education was what I wanted out of college, not just the social experience. And so I finished River Falls in 2016, May of 2016, with a marketing degree. Prior to graduation, though, in the fall of my senior year, I had a traumatic brain injury. So I had fallen off of a longboard. I used to skate. I was skating home one day, hit a crack in the road that I didn't see. The board stopped, but I kept going. Face ended up in the curb. I ended up in the hospital with multiple fractures on my orbital bone and a fracture on the inside of my skull. That forced me to drop out of the fall semester of college of my senior year. So this is now the second time I've dropped out of school. My advisor at the time had told me to kind of give up on my idea of a 4-year degree and go get a trade education and try and start a new career somewhere else. I really did not like hearing that. I told him where he could shove it, and I walked into a different professor's office and said, here is what I'm dealing with, and here's what I want to do. So instead of kind of wallowing in my own self-pity during this period of recovery, I actually worked on a business plan. I had the idea for a buy one, give one sock company, where for every pair of socks sold, we would then donate one to a homeless shelter. So I had worked on this business plan during recovery, and I started to put together a pitch that I then brought to this professor of mine after being told no by my former advisor. I said, this is what I want to start, and I need help starting it. And they were fortunate enough to help not just allow me to take all of my classes that I missed from the fall online that spring semester, but I was able to re-enroll in the spring semester. I took like 30 credits that semester and was actively developing this business plan, getting it ready for a couple of pitch competitions. So I began to pitch this business plan for a one-for-one sock company at a state event and then at a national pitch competition. I was fortunate to win $27,000 of seed funding in those initial competitions. And I was able to take that seed funding and start a business later on in September of 2016. I started the business with my partner today, Sam Harper. He is kind of, the person that does the things that I can't do, and vice versa. He runs marketing for Hippy Feats, and I focus on the brand, the mission, and we kind of both bring our heads together for the big term strategy stuff. And then I run our B2B sales program, but I'll touch on that later. So we, like I said, launched in September of 2016 on this one-for-one donation model. We actually donated 20,000 pairs of socks under that model in our first year and a half. This was an accomplishment that we were very proud of, but something didn't feel right. And the reason I say that is we were doing street outreach in Minneapolis and St. Paul, where we were physically bringing socks out into the street and giving them to individuals that we saw that were homeless. We were dropping large boxes of socks off, thousands at a time, at local homeless shelters. And while the individuals that were receiving these socks were thankful and appreciative that they had this new pair of socks, they were still homeless. Nothing in their life had changed outside of the fact that they had a clean pair of socks that they could use now. And that's something that we wanted when we first set out to start this company. We wanted to play a role in actually changing the homeless community and changing the ways people become homeless and actually making an impact for the better instead of just making this donation. So we found that the best way for us to make a positive change, for us to make a positive impact, was to abandon the donation model and actually focus our efforts on providing income, providing jobs. So we started a employment model called pop-up employment, where we actually physically bring jobs to local homeless shelters directly to individuals and employ them on the spot. We overlook traditional barriers like transportation. We overlook barriers such as, a criminal record, lack of identification. We want to be the easiest income that these young people will ever earn. And it is earned. It's giving in a way that still preserves that human dignity. We found this program to be very effective. So we abandoned that one-for-one model. We doubled down on the employment efforts. And today we have provided jobs to more than 120 young people affected by homelessness. We just surpassed 1,800 hours of employment given. We're coming up on 1,900 really quick. It's been a busy last couple of months for us here, thankfully. So by the end of the year, we'll have actually provided around 2,300 hours of employment to homeless youth, which is more than a full-time year of a 40-hour work week for one individual. So that's an accomplishment that we're looking at now, and we're quite excited to hit that mark. Now, I mentioned we're having a good month, or a good couple of months, and the reason for that is e-commerce, as we've been talking about earlier. And that is actually not a part of our business that was a strong suit up until COVID hit. We knew that e-commerce was the only way for us to scale our business, but it's been a difficult space for us to navigate. Facebook's algorithm, Instagram's algorithm is constantly changing. We talk about social media, the glory days being 2012 to 2014, where you could organic your way to 100,000 followers to $1 million in revenue, and you weren't necessarily buying media the way you are today. The algorithms changed. You have to pay for your views. And obviously for a company that's been bootstrapped since our initial seed funding, we don't always have the budget to kind of aggressively approach the e-commerce space. Now, COVID happens and we've lost, the majority of our business through our other revenue streams. So Hippy Feet makes money in 3 ways for the most part. We have our direct consumer business online, we have our wholesale business, and we have our B2B business. We also did some in-person events over the summertime and then a couple of holiday events, but nothing more than $50,000 of revenue a year. Although I will say I missed that $50,000 of revenue. Without live events right now, that's definitely something that we would love to have back. But we lost our B2B business and our wholesale business. Socks are a seasonal product. If you can imagine 90 degrees out, people aren't thinking about wearing socks the same way they are in the wintertime. So typically this time of year, we rely on our wholesale business and our B2B business, mostly our B2B business. And by B2B, I mean, we create custom socks for companies. So we've had the opportunity to work with the Minnesota Timberwolves, Microsoft, Kraus Anderson, First Avenue, the local kind of stage and venue here, famous for Prince's Purple Rain video back in the day. So we've worked with companies of all shapes and sizes, and that's typically how we're making money in the spring and summer. It's a very sales-oriented business where we are reaching out cold to companies across country, pitching them on our ability to create custom products, but really hitting home the fact that we are providing jobs to homeless young people as a result of working with Hippy Feet, rather your traditional promotional product vendor. So March 13th, a few days after that travel ban was put into place, we had I think like 15 of our leads reach out and say, yep, cancel our order. This ain't happening. We can't work with you right now. So that was about $100,000 in revenue that just like walked out the door. March was our worst month ever. Like in the 4 years that we've been a business, March was by far the worst we've ever done. And it was terrifying. And we looked at April and said, you know what, we need to make some really quick decisions and take a little bit of a risk, but take a risk that's very calculated. We had actually been working to produce sandals as a product to offset seasonality, kind of like a Birkenstock leather slide, of course, all creating jobs for homeless young people. And we had to back away from that initial order. We had, been looking at a $10,000 commitment to sandals. We didn't want to spend 10 grand on a product that we didn't really know all that much about, that we haven't sold before, and that we didn't have the confidence to sell, especially during COVID. So we had to cancel that new product endeavor, and we needed something. We knew that socks wasn't going to be our answer for kind of navigating this pandemic, but we needed something that was low risk, that wasn't socks, that we think we could sell in the summertime, and we settled on bracelets. So gemstone bracelets that are kind of like a friendship type bracelet. They say Hippy on them in glass letter beads. That was our answer. And the reason it was our answer is we could have it entirely made by homeless young people. When we were running ads online, rather than saying, this is a product that employs homeless youth, we could say this is a product that is made by homeless youth. There's just that small change in narrative was enough for us to confidently start an ad campaign. Our initial commitment, instead of $10,000, was $80. I think we spent $80 to make the 25 bracelets right off the bat. It was enough for us to test. We threw them up pre-sale. We were running ads that specifically said this is a pre-sale product, and we were converting at about a 2% ROAS. That was enough for us to say, hell yeah, let's make this happen. We need to spend as much money as we can on advertisements if we're going to continue to get this ROAS. If we're going to continue to be able to keep up the production of these bracelets, this is going to be our answer. We have sold well over 1,000 bracelets now in the last few months, and that has literally kept our company moving in the right direction. And it's actually given us the most amount of confidence about our ability to sell online, because we started to figure out more about how we reach our target audience. This was essentially a test that worked the best way it possibly could, and now we have a bunch of data and analytics for us to leverage for our holiday season when we can start selling socks again. So that is something that we were forced to make a pivot. We were forced to take a really calculated risk as a result of COVID, but it did give us the opportunity to look at e-commerce through a new lens, and it gave us the opportunity to start to build a much larger e-commerce presence, and something that is actually going to be scalable for the future. Thankfully, since then, our wholesale business and our custom business has started to pick back up again as well. So this will actually be the best year revenue-wise for Hippy Feet. We are fortunate to have the e-commerce brand of ours kind of carry us through this time of turmoil here. Going forward in the future, now that we know we can sell things other than socks, we are definitely going to look to expand into a bigger apparel line. We'll be launching 6 new SKUs, 6 new products of sweatshirts, t-shirts, and then 5 new sweaters this year on top of our probably 20 new SKUs of socks. So we'll be a much more robust brand this year. We'll be looking to kind of scale our business outside of just a sock company and more into that apparel space. And then with the employment program, we are actually starting to expand that as well. Historically, we're providing jobs with packaging on the back of every single pair of Hippy Feet socks. On the belly band that goes around those socks, you'll see the signature or initial of the young person that was hired to package that pair. And that is kind of the traditional way that we are providing employment. We also use our embroidery process and our screen printing process to provide jobs to homeless youth. Going forward, we're going to start hiring young people as interns, giving them actually some more part-time and potentially full-time opportunities where they are actually going to be working in fulfillment. So running our warehouse, packing and shipping orders, something that is a little bit more consistent and allows them to kind of build a base that is larger than just the transitional income that we've been providing them historically. One thing that I want to say has been really pivotal for us in the lifetime of Hippy Feet is we are a mission-based company and we put our mission first. We actually tie our mission very directly into our business as a whole. You look at other companies and it's separate. The mission is separate. It's buy our product and we'll make a donation, or buy our product and a percentage of proceeds go to fund this initiative. With Hippy Feet, it's buy our product, and the only way we can get you that product is if somebody that is experiencing homelessness is employed to package that product, ship that product, and get it to you. Our products don't see the light of day until a young person experiencing homelessness has worked on that specific product, whether it's packaging, whether it's making the bracelet. We've built our mission very directly into our business, and it can't exist. One can't exist without the other. And another thing that's been really important for us is transparency. When George Floyd was murdered at the end of May, we had plans to release a new sock line that week. We had kind of this grand vision for what our month was going to look like, and we tossed it all out the window. We went, for the most part, silent on our social media. Rather than trying to sell products, we uplifted other Black-owned businesses in the Minneapolis community. We talked about some of the injustice going on in our community, and we aligned ourselves with a cause. And we were transparent about it. We were honest about it, and we wanted to, not be the company trying to sell products during this kind of difficult time. And that was something that really bode well for us. That was that transparency did give us quite a great brand lift, and we've seen that kind of carry us forward into the future as well. So I think that's something that, as you are, whether continuing to build your companies or going to look to start a new company, if you're going to start a company, have a mission statement, have a mission that aligns with what you believe as a founder, but be very transparent about it, be honest about it. And it's okay to kind of show a little bit behind the curtain when it comes to how your mission works or what you believe in as a business or as a founder. So with that, that's kind of my story. I would love to open it up to some Q&A and see if anybody has some questions for us here.
Michael, thank you so much for your presentation today. We are at 9:25, so we probably have time for one, maybe two questions before our final question. Michael, do you want to put your contact information in the chat? So if anyone has a follow-up that we don't get to today, they can reach out to you directly.
Yep.
Does anyone have a question for Michael?
Yeah, I have a question. So what benefits do these homeless youths get for working for your company?
Yeah, totally. All right. So homelessness is a really, really complex and robust issue. We focus on young people because they haven't fallen into the cycle of homelessness yet. The cycle of homelessness is what happens when you've lived on the streets for an extended period of time. It becomes difficult to reacclimate to traditional society after that. A lot of times that's when the mental illness side of things starts to creep into the equation. It's a really, really difficult scenario to pull somebody out of. So the reason that we focus on youth is because they haven't fallen into that cycle. They have the most amount of opportunity left. They have the most amount of kind of motivation, passion, desire to make a change on their own. We are essentially the vector that allows that change to start. We don't want to be a full-time employer. We don't want to employ an individual for the rest of their life. We don't want them to make a career out of this. Rather, we want to provide them with an alternative to what we call street cash. So if you can imagine being 20-something years old, not having a source of income, not being able to provide for yourself, If you need that $40 to turn your cell phone back on so you can communicate with potential employers, with friends, family, if you need to buy diapers for your child, whatever you need that income for, if you don't have a way to earn it, you're going to find it. And oftentimes that means breaking the law to find it, doing something that is not dignifying to earn that income. So what we're offering is an alternative. It's saying, hey, we have a safe environment. We have a convenient method for you to earn this income. We're going to overlook these traditional barriers that you're facing when looking for other types of employment opportunities. And we're just going to give you a job for the sake of giving you a job because you need a job. So that is what these young people are getting from us. That's the major benefit, is they're earning an income. And outside of that, they're getting to work with other young people their age, getting to have that kind of social component to it. And then they're adding to their resume, they're adding experience. I always send a card with a young person to an interview. If they're interviewing with another employer, I give them my contact information and say, I'm your reference. Please have this employer call me and I'll vouch for you in terms of your employability elsewhere.
Okay, I've got another question. So how are your employees paid, or what's the rate of pay for someone who would be working for you?
Yep, so we pay them $11 an hour or minimum wage, whatever is going to be higher. We're based out of Minneapolis. We are going to need to start bumping that to $15 an hour here within the next 2.5 years. So these young people will be making $15 an hour within the next 2.5 years here, based off just the city ordinance. We're happy to pay it. Underpaying these individuals, like if we need to cut costs anywhere in our business, it's not with these young people. We're okay to lack on efficiency because we've built margins into our business elsewhere. So we'll pay them $15 an hour coming up here in the next 2.5 years. Otherwise, today it's 11 an hour or minimum wage, whatever is higher.
All right, and my last question, do you plan on expanding your product line from just socks into, say, something else, like, I don't know, knitted hats?
I saw a question about beanies in the message. I placed an order for beanies last week. Those will be here and online by October at the latest. I think we have our big release October 15th. In that release, a little sneak peek for you, we're going to have a unisex sweatshirt made out of San Francisco. We have 3 women's t-shirts, 1 women's long sleeve, 1 unisex t-shirt, a women's cropped sweatshirt. All of these are going to have, like, they're very obviously pointing to like the 70s era. So I'm very influenced by that kind of period of time and the fashion from that period of time. So all these products are going to have a very strong kind of 70s feel to them. And then we also have 5 knit sweaters coming out. A cardigan, a turtleneck, and then a crew neck sweater. Again, all very, I think 70s ski chalet type vibes.
Thank you. And then can we have an organizer ask the final 1 million cups question?
I will go ahead and ask that. So Michael, as a community, as a state, how can we help you in growing and making your business better? What is it that we can do for you?
Absolutely. So awareness is always important. Spread the word, talk about our mission. If you have friends and family that you think would like our product, would like our mission, please let them know we exist. Otherwise, if you are a business owner and you're looking for a unique holiday gift this year, shoot me an email. We can talk about creating some custom socks that feature your business's logo, and using that as a way to not just give back to the homeless community, but to give gifts to your employees, clients, etc. So that's definitely another way to help out.